Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome on in. This is the 186th level of the RPG Cave. I am one of your hosts, the level 199 human Dark Lord, Ryan Turford, and I am joined, as always, by the level 199 elf battle alchemist, Dr. Garret Bland. How's it going, Garret?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing good. You know, it's it's partially cloudy today. It's a cool 21 degrees Celsius outside. Looks 21. Like, chance of precipitation's about 20% today, Okay,
so a little bit of rain, maybe. Possibly.
We'll find out. But, that's how I'm feeling. The weather is okay. The weather is okay.
Do you know how to interpret percent chance of rain? Do you understand what, it's not going to be in your particular area. It's going to be a 20% chance. You want me to go through a little lesson for you?
You could. I mean, yeah. Sean might yell at us if we go too much into weather talk.
Okay. Anyways, let's piss off Sean a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
Basically, what they do is that they create a boundary on in the area, like a watershed area.
Of course.
And then throughout daily precipitation, they figure out what is the percent in that watershed is approximately going to get precipitation for that day. So it's not a 20% chance you're going to get rain. Is that on average in that watershed, it will get 20% for that day. Excellent. That's what 20% chance means.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because again, it's not like you in your exact spot is going to get 20%. Mm-hmm. It's like the general area.
Exactly.
20%.
Mm-hmm. But the weather here is pretty nice. I'm gonna miss it actually. It's quite cool. Hold on, let me see. Let me give you Fahrenheit.
Of course, because for folks that don't know, to fill them in, if you haven't been listening for a bit, Garrett's actually going on vacation starting next week.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be lovely. Today's a high of 66, low of 53.
Nice. That's not that bad. That's nice.
It's a pretty nice, and it's always high UV around here. There's no cloud in sight, high UV. So make sure, even though it's cool, make sure you put the sunscreen on, get the hat on. I always, get the hat on. You don't want your head getting sunburned at all. Okay, you need to protect your head. Okay, that's how you get sunburned. That's how you get, bad things. So
otherwise you gotta put aloe vera in your hair, and it's just man,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. By the way, shout out to Yarden and Benny who hopped in and said good morning to us, and also Cave, but also special shout out to Yarden who said dude where's my horse in the chat, which is the name of our theme song that we found on the YouTube audio library. It's called Dude Where's My Horse. So
oh really? That's the beginning of the intro here.
That is literally the name of the intro music on the YouTube audio editor. So I love that Yarden knows that and threw it in the chat.
Did he Shazam it? He probably.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned it on the show once or twice. But because it's like a dude where's my car reference, but it's a horse instead of a car. Mm-hmm. Man, that was a movie. Let me tell you what. Speaking of movies, Garret,
speaking of movies,
clear the dungeon so
Let's
we can get to the raid boss as quickly as possible. So, folks at home, we have our Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Never heard of it.
There's cool stuff over there. And we have brand new supporters over on patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Starting out with Benny, who's in the chat right now, who joined as a gold member. They had signed up for the free trial, the 7-day free trial. Which we offer over on the Patreon in case you're ever interested in trying it out. And Benny liked it so much that they stayed. So shout out to Benny, our brand new gold member on the old Patreon. Also shout out to the return of Hopple, Garret, to the Patreon. Back at the exclusive tier. Also, I've seen Hopple pop up quite a bit in the Discord over the last couple days as well.
He's a pretty active fella. I like him.
But it's been a while because we haven't seen Hopple in a long time.
It's been a while.
So shout out to Hopple for hopping back into the exclusive tier and for just hanging out with us in the Discord, man. Appreciate it. But of course, Garret, speaking of that old Patreon, we got a whole bunch of new content over there on Patreon. Bowser's episode of Pants was this week's featured episode. Tomorrow, Mitch Powers' episode will launch.
I gave him some interesting questions, so you should probably listen to that.
Yes, exactly.
100%.
Only because Garrett gave him good questions, you know.
Only because of that, and then not because it's Mitch's birthday.
Of course not. No. Why would we listen because it's Mitch? But to be fair, we love Mitch Power. Go listen to his episode. But then I'll give this little tease and get y'all your brains ready to post questions for the Lockleth.
The
on Monday.
Lockleth. Wow.
It will be her turn on the old Patreon podcast for Patrons podcast. So make sure to submit your questions for Lockleth on Monday on the old Patreon. Of course, we have a brand new episode of We the Gamercast with John 32. So make sure to check that one out. There's also a brand new episode of The Real Podcast that could be anything about Patrons podcast, featuring Sean and Amanda talking about her trip to London.
London.
Not London, Ontario. London in the old Europe. So make sure to go check that out as well as the Nintendo Drive post show. We'll have new movie podcasts in the future. There is a couple episodes of Sweet Hanks from this month to check out. So lots of stuff over on Patreon.
There's a lot of packed in, man.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. So make sure to go on the old Patreon. Go check all that out as well. We also continue to have Summer Game Fest merch on the old website as well. If you would like to get that, of course, that is limited time only. So make sure to go over to carpoolgaming.com, get yourself some Carpool Summer Game Fest merch if you haven't done so already, and all that jazz. Well, now, Garrett, without further ado, Sean has already preempted me in the chat. It is now time for your things, my friend.
Oh, yes, I do have things. It's going to be 3 things, actually. This time around, I'll keep it short, keep it sweet. As Ryan mentioned, I am about to head out on vacation. I am leaving to go to Japan on Tuesday. So I will be out gallivanting and exploring like a Pokemon trainer. I will be going into the wilderness and battling other trainers in the Kanto region. So I'll be landing in Tokyo, be there for a few days. Then we're going to head over to Kyoto and Osaka. It's going to be a total of 8 days in Japan. So nice. It's going to be pretty nice. We got, of course, everything planned out. Of course, I will try to get into those Nintendo stores, get into the Pokemon stores, stuff like that. I mean, you're still going to, I know you talked about it before, but you're still going to look for like a 3DS while you're there, right? Yes. So when I'm in Akihabara, there's some good stores there. Like, it's not, there's Super Potato, but there's like some other stores around there that seems to be reasonably priced. So I'm going to try my luck, see if I can get, I mean, like, I'm not going to be picky about it, but it would be nice to have like a special edition 3DS, like a Metroid or a Zelda or something. I'm not going to go crazy over, like, it's meant to be a reasonably priced 3DS. So gotcha. I'm going to have to balance the special edition and, just regular edition. I really just want that 3D aspect. And
you just don't want to pay like the US eBay prices or retro game store prices because they're expensive.
Yeah, because they're easily like, I mean, at least $400 at this point.
Yeah.
On eBay.
They're getting up there in price. They're getting more and more expensive every day. So, question from Benny in the chat. Are you going to the Nintendo Museum, Garrett?
I considered it, Benny, but in Kyoto, there's so many other places you want to go to. There's just so many shrines and temples that we want to explore. And then I read the reviews on the Nintendo Museum. It's not, it seems like it's just fine. Like you kind of just go through, of course, you see the Nintendo history or whatever. But I hear it's just relatively short. There's just a lot of interactive stuff to do. But other than that, it seems like people aren't too hyped about it. So no, I'm not going to go to the Nintendo Museum, but I will definitely go to the Nintendo stores that are around there. So yes, and the Pokemon store. Oh, that's going to be so cool.
I was going to say also, like, if I was going to Japan and like I had a choice between the Nintendo Museum and like spending the day, like taking that same day and going to like the Nintendo theme park that's there, like I would probably just do that instead. Especially because they have like the Donkey Kong World now and stuff too. So
yeah.
But even that, I don't think you're doing that either. Like, especially because I think I think you mentioned, I think this is your first time going to Japan, right?
First time going to Japan.
So like, there's so much stuff in Kyoto already that you're going to want to do that you're going to want to do on your first visit. So
exactly.
That makes a ton of sense.
Well, we'll keep it that, in mind. Yeah, no, Yarden, I am not Nintendo, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, heading to China, go to a few places around there, and then be there for a week, and then I'm coming back mid-July. I'll be back for RPG Cave. Let's see, which Saturday is that? I'm gonna check real quick. July 19th.
Okay.
Yes. July 19th is when I come back. So
almost a whole month, Garrett, you're going to be gone, which is interesting. But we're gonna miss you. But at the same time, I know that you're gonna have an amazing vacation, and
yes,
I can't wait to hear you talk about all the stories when you come back, dude. Because you're going to Japan for the first time. You're going to China. Like, I think it's gonna be so much fun.
So I'm getting ready for it. Oh, also figure out the gaming travel or whatever. I was debating on. I mean, I'm bringing my 3DS. Of course. Of course. It's pretty small, pretty compact.
I like how you're bringing your 3DS while also going to be shopping for a 3DS.
Well, okay.
Obviously, I know it's a 2DS XL, but
it's a 2DS XL. All right. So I want to get a new 3DS, either XL or LL, right? The LL is like smaller. It looks cool. I was debating between my Switch and my Steam Deck. My Steam Deck is just a little too big, I think. A little too clunky. I have some games lined up. I got Unicorn Overlord ready to go on Switch 1. I got Mario and Luigi Brothership ready to go.
Okay.
All right. That'll probably fill out my gaming time. Plus Bravely Default on my 3DS.
Those are three longer games,
So I think I'll be good.
Yeah. And also, I understand not bringing the Steam Deck, too, because, you also probably are going to want to save some room in your bags anyways for, stuff that you pick up while you're there. Because you're also probably, I would imagine, you're going to get other souvenirs besides gaming stuff, too, to bring back. So.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I brought, when I went to Japan, I made the mistake, Garrett, where, I didn't have enough room in my bag for extra stuff. So, I had to actually buy a bag while I was there. To bring back with me. So definitely you want to bring have enough room to bring other stuff, because you'll probably pick up a lot of things while you go around and do stuff.
Oh, for sure. So I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, we're bringing quite a bit of space for me to grab some stuff.
Yeah.
It's I love Yarden trying to convince me to get a Switch too.
Yeah.
Yarden, I'm gonna stand. It's We'll get into it later, I think.
Well, I was going to say, Garrett, the ultimate comeback to this response was the Switch 2 is smaller than a Steam Deck, but it's a little smaller than a Switch 2 to travel with, a 3DS.
That is true. You can just fit it right in your pocket. Yeah. 3DS is the ultimate, I think, portable machine for me. I literally go on my commute to work. I put the 3DS in my jacket pocket, and it's that portable. It's that simple. I don't have to reach in my bag and press a button or whatever. And it's clamshell. So I just open it up and the game's right there.
Yeah. I was going to say, the only way you would be even more compact than that is if you brought a Game Boy Advance SP, or then if you went the ultimate mile, Garrett, and brought a Game Boy Micro with you, which is the Game Boy Micro is this big.
I have my Game Boy SP. It's called the Ambernick SP 34XX.
Touche.
So, I'm portable out, ready to go. But, anyways, okay. So the next thing I want to get into, RPGs I wish I can catch up on. There's 2 RPGs, Ryan, that came out earlier this year. That, man, it looks like a Garrett game to me.
Yeah. And the time is just slipping away from them.
Time is slipping away. Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon. Have you seen this game? I think we've mentioned this one before.
I remember us talking about it, but I'm going to Google it real quick to kind of refresh myself on it while you're talking about it.
So apparently it's a dark take on the King Arthur story. It very much resembles a a Elder Scrolls first person
Oh yeah, it's this game. I forgot all about this game.
high fantasy game. People are raving about it. People who love this type of game loves this loves Tainted Grail. So I mean, I'll keep an eye on it. It's like, I think original price for US is 45 USD. So not a bad price. It's not a full price game. But I'll keep my eye on it. It's looking good.
That's also like a weird pattern that you actually see with like games like this. Like like we saw this with Avowed. That wasn't a full price game. Tainted Grail, not full price. Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered, not a full price game, which is interesting. Real quick, Ron in the chat asked, did you ever finish Octopath Traveler 2?
I got to the very end of that game.
Yeah.
And I think I was beating the final bosses on each character of that one. I think I just got to a point I was like, I'm kind of, I don't want to I don't want to go through more of this. I think I just took a pause and I never went back. So I was like, I think 2-3 more major bosses until I hit the end of that game. But no, I did not ever finish Octopath Traveler 2.
You just didn't want to ruin it. It was already a really good game. We talked about it. We did a whole podcast about it.
Yeah, it was really good. It was just that I think I just got to a point where, okay, we're getting a little too long in the nose of these battles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Yarden in the chat. Come on. Not a fake fan right here. Yarden says, wait, did Garrett ever finish Zelda 2? We did an entire thing about Zelda 2.
I 100% finished Zelda 2.
Yes.
Yes, I went to the credits of that game. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I did so many save states, Ryan.
Yeah. I remember we did again, like we did like a whole episode where we talked about Zelda 2. People should go back and listen to it. It's really
that
good.
last dungeon, man, crazy. Anyways, the second RPG I want to catch up on, as you mentioned, Oblivion Remaster. Now they just got a update on consoles, so maybe when I come back, they'll have another update. I don't know, but I want to check that out too. Of course, when I come back though, it's Cyberpunk time, right?
Hell yeah!
It's like I'm actually gonna be I'm gonna be only here for like a few weeks by myself, so I'm gonna have a lot of time just to dive into Cyberpunk and try to get through it. So
yeah,
get ready, Ryan.
I can't wait. Again, I'm specifically waiting until you come back before I also go back and replay it because I have I got a code for the Switch 2 version of Cyberpunk.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like, I'm actually considering playing it on Switch 2.
Nice.
Since my save is like halfway through on PlayStation, I'm like, I don't want to. I'm gonna start over anyway. So it's like I might as well start over on a new console. Why not? So yeah, I'm actually thinking about going that route. So I think like we'll both kind of start Cyberpunk at the same time because I want us to be able to talk about it with like fresh eyes. So I can't wait for that episode. I think it's gonna be really fun when we both get a chance to play through it.
I got Phantom Liberty. I'm gonna start over fresh. Like I was like 20 hours in from my 2020 playthrough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm ready to restart, ready to go through it. Yeah. That will be the game when I get back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then third thing, of course, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I mean, it's looking good. Like that one is like pushing me to get a Switch 2. Nothing else has been convincing me. Then I saw that direct of Donkey Kong, and I'm like, that looks so good. Now, people, I don't know if they listen to me for a long time, Donkey Kong is a more impactful character to me in the Nintendo franchise than I think Mario and any other Nintendo character. My favorite games on the Super Nintendo was the Donkey Kong Country games. Yeah. I remember playing it with my grandma, like every day, all day. Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 and 3. I was not that obsessed with Super Mario World, not obsessed with Legend of Zelda as much. Donkey Kong was the game. So when seeing this and seeing how good it looks, I'm just like, You're getting me. And the music's so nostalgic too, man. They're really grabbing the music from Donkey Kong Country.
Well, yeah, they for the first time, Garrett, because they haven't had Rare in a long time. For the first time, they're really like reaching into like the nostalgia from the Rare games, both with the country games and 64. Because you've got Diddy and Dixie in it, you've got Cranky Kong, you've got like the animal buddies from Donkey Kong Country in it, you've got some of the music in it, but then there's stuff for like the old folks like me, like you've got Paullin in it as well, who is from the original Donkey Kong game, which is the first video game I ever played. So yeah, like I think there's a lot of nostalgia here, but honestly, again, like I said this in the Nintendo Drive chat when they were doing their show this week, but like from the second I played that demo at the Nintendo event I went to, I was like, this doesn't demo well, but I know from like the feel of this game that this is going to be a really good game. And, that direct just solidified my, opinion even more. I think this game looks awesome. I can't wait to play it. And I traditionally don't like Donkey Kong as a character. I'm not into the big gorilla aesthetic or, hunting down bananas. But at the same time, like, dude, I can't wait for this game. I think it looks amazing. You could say I'm going bananas for it, Garrett.
You're definitely going bananas for it. So can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. Of course.
I was sure we'll both be talking about it when you inevitably break and buy a Switch 2, Garrett.
Next year.
Next year.
I'm thinking they're going to inevitably get a Fire Emblem game.
Yeah,
lined up and out.
We've talked about that before.
By
I'm
late
pretty
next
sure.
year.
Yeah, like by this time next year, I think there will be a new Fire Emblem game out on Switch 2.
Switch 2 exclusive.
Yeah. I would assume so.
That's when they'll get me.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna get one now. Sorry, Arden.
Yeah, it's also one of those things too where like I think you're in a better position because you live in the States, whereas in Canada, because of the way our dollar works and because of tariffs and other stuff, like the consoles have only gone up in price. So usually the best time in Canada to actually buy them is like at launch, surprisingly, because my Xbox and my PlayStation and my Switch have actually only appreciated in value instead of gone down in value since I purchased them.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to wait till the end of the year where suddenly, we have like a shift in the Canadian dollar and it's $100 more expensive than it already is now. Right? Like it makes sense for me, but like in the States, you really don't have that problem.
Well, then the next day to really worry about is, I think, early July for the U.S. because that's when tariffs will, I guess, lift or whatever. Not lift, but reinstate.
Right.
So I'll keep an eye out for prices, but I'm not needing to get the next console. So and I like my OLED. So there you go.
Yeah. No, if you're happy with it, you should play what you're playing. But but having a Switch 2 will actually play into what I'm going to talk about when we get to our main topic. But it's been pretty cool. But I can definitely understand kind of waiting as well, especially if you're not like all in on Mario Kart at this point.
Oh man, when people. I mean, like, I'm hearing all the impressions of Mario Kart. Great, but it sounds like another Mario Kart game to me.
100%.
And I'm like,
I'm good. I'm already not even really playing it. I'm jumping in every once in a while for a couple matches, but that's kind of it. Like I basically finished all like the Grand Prix on the first day. So
yeah, the other very convincing thing of Switch 2, which I'm more surprised, is all the natural updates to third-party games that are on Switch 1 coming to Switch 2. Not all of them. It seems like a 50-50 thing. Is like, okay, if you have unlocked frames, you're gonna really see that boost.
Or Digital Foundry talked about this on their podcast, but like there's also a lot of games later in the Switch life, Garrett, that apparently had 1080p modes that with dynamic resolutions that where it's just like, oh well, it fluctuates in resolution if like the system can't meet the 1080p threshold. That the Switch 2 meets that, no problem. So it's always displaying the game in 1080p, but the Switch 1, it's like sometimes it's in 540p in handheld mode at 30 frames or 30 to 40 frames because the frame rate is uncapped. Whereas like those games basically run at 1080 60 on switch to, or sometimes get upscaled to 4K. So it's just like, I think like there's a lot of really cool backwards compatible stuff, which again, I have examples actually I'm going to talk about in what we've been playing.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
But cool. Those were your things, Garrett. But
Those
now
are my things.
we're going to go on a side quest because I see a little quest mark over there, Garrett.
Oh,
Go talk
heck
to that
yeah.
NPC. It's got a little
Sounds
exclamation
good.
over its head.
Let's go over there.
Because Garrett, you've had to hear me before you go on you've gone on your vacation. You've had to hear me ramble on and on about all these Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy cards, and you're just like, I have to hear about Ryan talking about Final Fantasy all the time. This is the
More
worst.
about the Blitzball cards than anything.
Yes, exactly. So I have a treat for you, Garrett. So
thank you.
MagicCon Vegas, they announced and showed off the very first Avatar: The Last Airbender card. And I'm going to show it to you today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's
I'm
not
so
obviously
excited
this
about
is
this.
not this is obviously not RPG adjacent, but it's also just like it's a special thing I have to do for Garrett here before he goes on vacation. So
This Avatar: The Last Airbender is so good. Okay, yeah, no.
are you ready for this, Garrett? This card looks really cool, so I'm
Okay.
excited to show you it. So this is Avatar Aang.
I was thinking it was gonna be this. Yes. Okay.
So he's 4 colors. He's red, green, white, and blue for a legendary creature, human avatar ally. He's got flying and fire bending too. They didn't explain what any of the bending stuff does yet. We'll find out later.
This is gonna be so good.
But his abilities are whenever you water bend, earth bend, fire bend, or air bend, draw a card. Then, if you've done all 4 this turn, you transform him, and he's got a quote in the flavor text. It's easy to do nothing. It's hard to forgive.
Oh, I know what's gonna be the transform. Oh man.
Yeah.
I
So
wanna see
then
it.
he
Yeah.
transforms, because this is a double-sided card, Garrett, to Aang, Master of Elements.
There we
He
go.
is a legendary creature, avatar ally. He's got flying. Spells cost white, blue, black, red, and green less to cast, meaning that if a card, like if there's a mana symbol in the card, it costs that less to cast. And at the beginning of each upkeep, so at the beginning of every turn, you may transform Aang, Master of Elements, back to its other side. If you do, you gain 4 life. You draw 4 cards. You put 4+1/+1 counters on him, and he deals 4 damage to each opponent. And he's a 6/6.
Wow.
Yeah, this
Sounds
card.
like a jig card.
This card is actually pretty legit. I'm interested again to see what this like element bending is on this other side of the card. We'll probably they said we'll hear about more when the set gets closer to release. It's coming out this November, by the way, Garrett, is when these cards are coming out.
Oh man, this is gonna really break me, Ryan. This will get me into Magic.
Yeah.
This card it's looking really good. This is Aang's kind of final form at the end of the whole series. This is when he's facing Firelord Ozai at the end. So this is looking good, and then he's trying to achieve like true perfect, like one with the universe. That's why he has like a ball of like stars around him.
Yeah.
He's trying to achieve the ultimate form.
And it also kind of makes sense
Avatar.
with the flavor text on the front side, Garrett, because like you have to like air bend, you have to bend elements 4 times, so you're bending like the 4 elements to then
to be
achieve
transformed.
kind of like the final form essentially.
Oh man, that quote is so good too. This is good stuff.
And I think like this at the bottom here, this artist here, Brian Concerto, I think he's like the
Yes.
main artist for the Avatar series.
Yeah. I heard of him. So question for you, Ryan, is this just going to be Avatar: The Last Airbender?
It's going to also feature the stuff from Korra as well.
Oh, really? It's going to feature Korra as well. Okay.
Yeah, it's just they've only featured Aang so far, but it's going to have stuff from both shows.
Guys, this is going to be a...
'Cause it'll be like Final Fantasy, where like it'll have stuff like Final Fantasy had stuff from all the games, so it'll be like that, where it'll have like stuff from across like the Avatar universe. Just like it might feature stuff from like, because I think there's Avatar movies as well. I think it'll feature some stuff from that. So
Oh no, don't feature for movies. No,
I'm just saying it's a
block it
possibility.
off.
I don't actually know how that works, but for
Block it
sure,
off.
definitely for sure, they mentioned the 2 TV shows. So
oh, man, Ryan, this is. I mean, I'm gonna just be oogling every reveal of
Yep.
this series and just there's so many good references too. I can't wait for like Sokka cards, the boomerang,
Yep.
the Toph. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
guys, you have no idea.
Especially like with how good they did with Final Fantasy, as far because it's going to be a whole set like Final Fantasy was. So, like with all the you know the deep references and stuff, like dude, I think Avatar fans are going to be like in heaven with some of this stuff. So, it's going to be really really interesting to see those cards as we get closer. And of course, I love the comments we've got here in the chat. Of course, I see Kiku who says I bought some cards recently because of Final Fantasy. I've seen a lot of people in the Discord kind of doing this as well. In fact, Ron chimes in and says Ryan made Magic the Gathering popular again. Even the Game Informer show was talking about it. But again, like also we have a bunch of people trying the Discord. Like Fully is trying it. A bunch of other people people went out and got cards and have been sharing them in the Discord, which I love. Like I think we actually have enough people in the Discord to do like a community game night at some point.
I downloaded the Magic the Gathering app on my phone. I opened a bunch of packs yesterday, but I just have to get into it and play some.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
You gotta get ready, battle ready in time for Avatar, Garrett, because
I
that'll be
know.
on Magic Arena. It'll be they don't do this for all of the what are referred to as Universe Beyond sets, where they do like a set outside of Magic the Gathering. They don't always put those on Arena, but Avatar is going on there. But like the upcoming Spider-Man set, as an example, is not. It's going to be
Interesting.
replaced with like in-universe cards that do the same thing, essentially.
Okay.
So
Okay.
But
Interesting.
Avatar and Final Fantasy are special because I guess like the
I think it's a
companies themselves were
licensing
like
deal.
just like like I think as part of the licensing, I think the companies were okay with it. So
I think, Marvel's a pretty well protected brand, and I'm sure there's some digital license that
Yeah.
the Wizards of the Coast could not get, or this doesn't seem feasible. It's more appropriate for physical license than a digital license. So
yeah, well, especially because they have like Marvel Snap, which is their own digital
Yeah.
card game. Like I think that's what makes it harder. Whereas Final Fantasy, there is like a physical Final Fantasy card game, but one, it's not super huge. But two, like I just don't think like Square Enix really sees them as like competing forces in the same way. Especially because again, like the digital client's separate. But like Avatar doesn't have anything like that. So Nickelodeon's just like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? But we don't have the SpongeBob cards on Arena yet, so maybe those will come at some point because it's all Nickelodeon, right? So maybe we'll see those at some point, or if they do like a Turtles crossover or something, maybe they do something like that. But
sounds good.
cool. Well, now Garrett, it's time for us to read from the sacred texts. Because Garrett's gonna go on vacation soon. We've had some pretty news heavy episodes, some predictions heavy episodes, and some other stuff lately. So we're just gonna keep it light this week. We're gonna talk about what we've been playing because we don't really get to do this that often, Garrett. We don't, especially because we're not like doing like weekly shows currently where we're talking about what we're playing all the time. Like it's fun for us to kind of sit down and just talk about this a little bit. And a lot of what I've been playing is RPG related. So I thought this was the perfect time to talk about some of this stuff. So, first of all, since I know you just did your things, I'll go first with one of the things I want to talk about real quick.
Go for it.
This is on the thumbnail, so I'm not spoiling this for anyone. But I played Final Fantasy III from the NES for the first time, Garrett.
From the NES.
Yeah,
Oh, you went old school on this one.
Now,
Nice.
I played the Pixel Remastered version of it.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But it's
Okay.
still an NES game that I'm playing on my Switch 2, essentially, Garrett, for the first time. Because I talked about this when I did my Final Fantasy tier ranking system list, but this and Final Fantasy 2 are like the only two I haven't really played through. And I haven't really played all the way through like Final Fantasy 11 MMO either. But I've at least I played that game for hundreds of hours, but never finished it.
That's good enough.
That's good enough as far as I'm concerned. But, dude, it was so fun to actually play Final Fantasy 3 for the first time in 2025. First of all, it's got the job system in it. And it's kind of like
Okay.
the first game in the series with the job system. Because, like, in the first Final Fantasy, they give you the choice of jobs to make up your party, but you can't change them at all. You basically are just set in stone with whatever you pick at the beginning. So if you pick all white mages, Garrett, you're just stuck with all white mages as an
Nice.
example. But in this game, it's similar to like Final Fantasy V or Bravely Default, where throughout the course of the game, what'll happen is you'll get to certain points in the story where you'll go to like these different crystals, and the crystals will unlock different jobs that you can then set for all the different characters. So you can like really, really mix and match how you want your party to be set up. And there's some like wacky jobs and stuff like that. Like, dude, this game was so fun to play nowadays. Like, I can't believe they didn't release this game in North America, because this was a Japan only game. Like, there was a reason why when Final Fantasy IV came out, it was labeled as Final Fantasy II in North America, because we didn't get the actual Final Fantasy II and III on NES. They were just Famicom exclusive games. But this game would have been so cool to play back in 1990 or whenever it came out. Like, I loved playing this game for the first time, and also it was kind of weird because after playing through the Final Fantasy XIV expansion Shadowbringers, which actually has a lot of like references to Final Fantasy III, like it uses like the main theme to Shadowbringers is like an orchestrated version of like the Crystal Tower theme, which is like one of which is like the name of the final dungeon in Final Fantasy III. They kind of use that as kind of like the main theme. So it's just like when I'm hearing this, I'm like going around the world, and I'm just like nostalgic for like Shadowbringers, but I'm playing an old game, but it's coming from an old game, which is just a weird thing to kind of be nostalgic about. But it was a little bit grindy, or I would imagine if you played it with no boosts, it would be really grindy. I did turn on the 2 times boost, Garrett, so I got double experience. Because I always do that with like the in the Pixar Remastered games, because a lot of them can be kind of grindy, and I don't want to have to sit there and grind for an hour or 2 hours for no reason, right? Like, that's not fun. So, but I don't know, the world building was kind of fun. The only thing that's kind of disappointing about this entry is just the characters are 4 generic characters. They're referred to as Onion Knights to start with. That's the name of their class, but they're basically like 4 like plucky youths, but they don't even really have names other than what you choose to name them, or really any personalities of their own. But it was just so fun to play through. So I'm so happy I finally had a chance to like sit down and play this game. And it has like some of the most memorable and cool bosses from one of the older Final Fantasy games. The music's great. The Pixar remastered version looks really good as well. So overall, I loved kind of playing this game for the first time.
So is it like 4 static characters throughout the game?
Yeah,
like,
you don't get any other party members, just 4 static characters that you kind of rotate the jobs on.
Okay, you rotate the jobs, and then is there like a separate level? I'm sure there's just a separate leveling system for the job then. Right?
Yep, there's a separate leveling system for the job that allows you to learn the job abilities when you unequip the job. So your usual strategy is to keep the job equipped to your characters until you get it kind of to like the max level, and then you kind of switch jobs so that you can continue to use like those same job abilities. So you almost have like these like crazy powerful characters towards the end of the game. Like, the power progression in this game is actually really nice.
Okay. And then the character themselves have a level as well?
Yep. And they have their own individual levels kind of on top of that as well. And like you usually level the jobs faster than the character levels. Again, it's very similar to something like Bravely Default, or even Final Fantasy V is very much like that too. Because Final Fantasy V also has only 4 static characters that also can use jobs in the same way. So
okay.
like that's actually where like Bravely Default kind of got its inspiration, was from this game, and then Final Fantasy V as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And you said it was grindy. Was there any like hard difficulty spikes in this game other than trying to grind?
There were a couple, but it was with the 2 times boost really helped, because if I didn't have that on, when I got to those spikes, I probably would be grinding a lot more before having to move on. But yeah.
And so when you advance your jobs, there wouldn't be like an upgraded job or whatever, but you said you get to the max level, and so you learn all the skills,
Yeah.
I guess, associated with that job.
Yeah, you're able to keep them on the character when you switch jobs to something else. Like it was very like I made it pretty imperative for the characters to kind of learn white magic pretty quickly, just so everyone can kind of like heal the party, and then you can kind of split the abilities from there. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. And then of course, but towards the end of the game though, you throw that out the window a little bit because you kind of get like these super powered jobs towards the end of the game that are, you're just like, well, of course I'm using these because they're the most powerful thing you're doing. But
Got it.
yeah, either way, like I love kind of the feel, the music, the look of this game. Like, dude, this game was so cool.
How did it handle, I guess, weapons? Like, was it more adept or more experience or more advantage with a job per se than others, or is it just a static weapon?
Only certain jobs can use like jobs can only use certain weapons. So
Got it.
if you're a warrior, you can use almost every weapon. But if you're a white mage, you're basically using just daggers or staves, which is why like it's better for you. It's good for you to kind of learn some of the extra magic abilities, and then switch to another job, and then you can kind of use like more attack based stuff. But I also kind of like set my party up, Garrett, in a way where like two of the characters were kind of like learning as much of the magic jobs as they could, and the other two characters were focusing on the melee jobs, like the attacking jobs. So then that way, because it has kind of my ideal party where like one is almost like an attack magic character, one person's like the healer, and then two people are kind of like the main kind of like damaging characters, with one character kind of being like the tanky character that can absorb the most damage.
Okay, sounds good. And then you say after each like crystal, it releases like a fixed number of jobs for you to try it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Kiku in the chat asks, what was my favorite job from the game?
Yeah.
I mean, Kiku, would be very hard for me not to pick the ninja job. One, because it looks cool.
Nice.
Two, because it's really good. And three, I like ninjas. So I would be lying if I said anything else. But I like some of the mage jobs as well. Like the summoner job is pretty cool and stuff.
A summoner. Wow. Okay. How long did it take for you to finish this game?
It was like, I think it was like 9 or 10 hours. Like it was not that long.
Relatively short game. Okay. Shorter game.
Yeah, it's an NES role playing game, so you're not expecting it to be too long. But also shout out to Kiku, by the way, who asked that question, because Kiku also finished all of the Pixar remastered games and has like the platinum in almost every single one of them, which is not an easy feat.
I'm sure.
Because you have to fight every single monster in the entire game. Like you have to fill up what's referred to as the bestiary, and some of the monster rates are very, very low.
And then now, I mean, recency bias, but where do you imagine Final Fantasy III lying in your ranking of Final Fantasies?
Yeah, if I was to do it again on the tier list, it'd probably be in like the B or like low A range.
Pretty great game.
I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to, for sure.
Okay.
Like it really, really surprised me how much I loved it, which is actually like a sharp contrast, Garrett, because of course, again, Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy is out. So I was actually excited to actually go back and play some older Final Fantasy games. So I also went back, Garrett, and replayed Final Fantasy VI for the first time in 20 years.
Wow.
I haven't replayed it since I played it for the first time on emulator
20 years
ago. Back in 2005 is actually is the first time I played it. So I loved Final Fantasy VI at the time. You know, it's a lot of people's favorite Final Fantasy game. But man, that's a hard game to go back to. I'm not going to lie about this game. Like, I know a lot of people love Final Fantasy VI. I mean, I love like the story, the characters, the world of Final Fantasy VI, the timeless look to the game, the incredible music. All that stuff is great. There's all the makings of Final Fantasy VI being a masterpiece of a role-playing game, Gary. It's up there with a lot of people with Chrono Trigger. Like, that's how people talk about this game sometimes. But it was even more grinding than Final Fantasy III was. Like there are a lot of pain points when it comes to kind of the grindiness in Final Fantasy VI, where it's just like, well, okay, I guess I'm just gonna run around for an hour and just level up my characters, even if I boosted it to double the experience. But worse than that, worse than the grindiness, Garrett, is actually the second half of the game. And I'm not going to spoil what happens in the second half because For if you played it, you know. If you know, you know. But it becomes like this very non-linear style of choice, because the first half of the game is fairly linear. You're kind of going from place to place, and then until you kind of get the airship where then you can kind of fly around and do some stuff before the story changes, and you're kind of exploring this like new location, and just that stuff just fell really flat for me. I love kind of the story stuff that's going on, but the actual act of playing the game and like trying to figure out where to go, because I was not using a guide to figure out where to go in this game, because I didn't do the same thing for Final Fantasy 3. Final Fantasy 3, I was like, all right, I'm going to talk to the townspeople, I'm going to figure out what to do next, and we'll go from there. But just for like whatever reason, I just could not like wrap my head around because I just couldn't remember. Again, it's been 20 years. I couldn't remember exactly where I'm supposed to go with a lot of this stuff. So I just found myself wandering around kind of aimlessly trying to figure out where to go next. And then sometimes I would end up in areas where I'm, level 45 and I'm fighting level 70 enemies and getting destroyed. So, I didn't know the exact order to kind of go in. So again, this is still the type of game, Garrett, where I would still probably it's still higher up on the Final Fantasy list as really good Final Fantasy games. Again, it has all the makings of being a masterpiece game, but I definitely did not enjoy it as much this time around as the last time. And Kiku mentions you got to talk to the NPCs for hints, and I definitely was doing that. I guess I was just I just wasn't really finding the right NPCs for whatever reason. It wasn't really clicking into my brain as to where exactly to go. But I found my way eventually. I managed to finish it. It's just it just wasn't as enjoyable as it was the last time I played it.
And you didn't get into a guide at all? Okay.
I purposely did not use a guide. And also, too, it's just if you make certain choices in the first half of the game, it affects certain things in the second half of the game. It'll sometimes lock off content or make it harder to get certain characters. It makes the game a bit more difficult if you don't necessarily know all the things to kind of do ahead of time, to kind of get almost that perfect run in a way. So I think that kind of played into my enjoyment a little bit too, where I think honestly I probably would have enjoyed it more if I was playing with a guide. But the fact that I was like, I didn't play Final Fantasy 3 with a guide and I was fine. Why would I do the same thing for this? Right. So I think it's a little more obtuse than even some of the older games.
Interesting.
But again, you have to literally talk to everyone and hope that you figure out where to go based on that. So this is still the type of game that's still as much stuff that I'm talking about, it's still probably in the A range, because everything else about this game is amazing. It's just it's definitely hard. I think if you handed this game to someone who's never played it before in the year of 2025 and told them not to play with a guide, I think they might have some trouble playing with this game, or they might rage quit in the second half of the game.
Yeah, it might struggle a little bit to find the next step. Yeah, kind of thing.
Because this was something, because I actually wrote a little review of it over on Backlogged, and I was interested because I was I see a lot of people rate this game 5 stars, but a lot of people rate it 4 or 3. So I read some of the other reviews, and a lot of people kind of had the ones who didn't give it 5 stars had kind of similar thoughts to my thoughts as well. So I think a lot of people who were kind of picking up this game for the first time might have the same problems. I definitely think it might actually be a harder game for people to go back to or play for the first time nowadays.
Or just recommend a guide.
Yeah.
Or non-spoilery guide to just take you to the next step.
I think so. I think that's probably what you do in this case as well. Again, especially because there's certain dungeons as well where they have you split your party into 3 teams, and you have to switch between them to kind of solve puzzles and stuff. And I was just I know people are really into that type of thing. I am not the person who's into those type of puzzles. So, and I'm trying to remember where my other parties are kind of in this giant dungeon map that we're trying to explore together. So, yeah, that was my experience, with 2 recent Final Fantasy games. I have more stuff to talk about, Garrett, but I'm going to take a sip of water and let you talk about some stuff you've been playing.
Yeah, so, let's go on the classic RPG train here. But I've been playing Bravely Default 1 on my 3DS. On my commute, I'm about now 38 hours in.
Okay.
It's a long game.
Yeah, it is.
it's pretty grindy. And so basically I'm at the point of I beat the fire chrysalis, the third one, and I'm doing the final job or optional job in that area. So as you mentioned, Bravely Default, it sounds like it takes a lot of systems from Final Fantasy 3 and 5 because there's a lot of jobs in this game, and you don't really come across with it. You really have to do all the optional stuff and beat the bosses in order to get these jobs, or asterisks, as they called it.
Yeah, the counterpart in the Final Fantasy games, Garrett, is that when the jobs you get in 3 and 5 are like you get as part of the story generally. Like you're going to these crystals, they're giving you the jobs as you go through them. Whereas in Bravely Default, you're like defeating these bosses and that have like the jobs equipped, and then you get the job from them. Essentially.
Exactly. And these bosses, like, they have like a bunch of dialogue with them. I think it adds a lot more to the story, a lot more to the characters themselves. I would say if you started to ignore these jobs, these optional jobs, I would find it very hard to go through this game. It seems like it's one of the more essential things to get, especially if you want to have a more diversity of jobs with your characters. At the same time, it does bring in a lot more story to these side villains that are sprinkled throughout the lands here. Even this final optional job I'm getting into, I think it's like a samurai job of some kind, samurai or ninja, whether one of those.
I knowing where you are in the game, I'm pretty sure it's the samurai job.
That one seems like a very important character to like have that dialogue in going through it. So that's why I recommend people are playing, I'm sure, Bravely Default on the Switch 2 right now.
Well, are they? I think we heard that report that third-party games did not sell well, and I'm pretty sure the quote that they got was from Square Enix about the game meeting the lowest of their expectations.
But Square Enix is gonna be Square Enix, you know. They're gonna expect too many. They're gonna expect so much out of an 11-year-old remake of a game that just plays really just fine on 3DS. Like it runs really well on 3DS. Like,
to be fair, it looks really good on Switch. I've played the Switch version. But I'm also like doing my own little grassroots research. Garrett, I am the only person I know who has a Switch 2 that has that game.
Yeah, like people are not interested in getting this, and it's actually understandable, just because I understand it looks good on Switch 2. It looks so much, smoother, faster, whatever. But I'm just like, I'm telling you, the people who played Bravely Default are just fine for the most part with the 3DS. They're not gonna, and I there's a lot of people, I think, is like, they think of Bravely Default as like, oh man, I want to replay that game. It's like, no, you really don't want to go through a very grindy.
I mean, Kiku says that Kiku wants to replay Bravely Default one day.
One day. I think there's dozens of us kind of situation going on here with the Bravely Default. Anyways, I want to get into the game. I'm really enjoying it. I think what's really helping me out, Ryan, is the encounter difficulty setting rates, where if I'm really in a bind, if I'm close to death, I'm like, that's okay. Just bump the encounter rate all the way down, go back, heal, get back in. It's so nice, actually. It's like, okay, if this option wasn't there, I would be struggling a little bit more going through this. I like some jobs, and I don't like others per se. It's funny because you try to fight these optional bosses, and they are so strong. They're like uber strong, and they have a lot of HP. This is a hard game, and unless you grind, you really do grind. And even grinding, I heard, like, it does at a certain point scale with your level. So grinding is not really the optimal solution for this as well, right, Ryan?
Yeah, there's some level scaling in this game.
Anyways, even the fire chrysalis boss, I was dying left and right, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, there's something off with this. And I looked up a guide, or not a guide. I looked up a Reddit forum or whatever to see how I can beat it or whatever. That boss in particular, you just really got to know the patterns.
Yeah.
And then once I learned the patterns, and I didn't, and also originally I really focused on seeing the boss's HP, and I feel like I'm playing a mind game when I'm looking at the boss's HP all the time. So I just decided to not look at the HP and just follow the pattern, see if I can beat this and make it long lasting, whatever. And to my surprise, I beat the fire boss without looking at the HP. So I think it's a little bit of a mind trick there too, as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's some jobs that I really do like. Of course, the white mage is essential in this game. Yeah. You want all your characters to really level up in that one. But yeah, as Ryan mentioned, there's a couple of characters focus on more physics based or classes, whereas two others are more mage based classes. You really want to diversify more and more, and I'm learning that more just because how much MP is getting eaten up by these mage classes. So I try to diversify a little bit more. It looks like there's not a lot of penalty. There's no penalty of like switching jobs in this game. You like kind of do it instantaneous. You go straight to your equip and you change your appropriate weapons or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because they want you to be able to like change up the strategy often in the game to kind of tailor against like what's the optimal strategy against like the fire boss that you were fighting, as an example.
The game really encourages you to switch jobs left and right. So yeah, that's a good thing. So anyways, yeah, I'm going through it. Optional boss samurai, and then after that I'll hit up the fourth crystal or whatever. I hear there's a lot more after that. So I'm in it for the long haul. I am.
I was gonna say, I don't even know if you're halfway through the game yet.
Yeah, I know. That's what I hear too. I'm like, and my levels are like around 45-ish, somewhere around there. So
interesting.
Anyways,
Yarden asks a good question. Yarden says, I might grab this on Switch 2. Are there any quality of life improvements or anything? Yarden and I have played the Switch 2 version. Not for a ton of time. I've only played a couple hours of the Switch 2 version because I ended up putting it down because I just was more in the mood for it to play Final Fantasy games and the game I'm about to talk about. But this game actually does not have a lot of quality of life improvements. It is actually like kind of like a HD remastered port of the 3DS game. So they added some new mini games that you can play kind of outside of the game. But as far as quality of life improvements, no. I wish they would have had more, honestly. I almost wish that there was some other stuff, but no, it is pretty much just the game as is as far as the options.
Yeah, I hear it's pretty much the same game, like in terms of just going through the story and the mechanics or whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot prettier, and the load a lot of the load time and stuff are gone as well. But yeah.
One thing I do want to mention, I'm a lonely person expanding my little areas. Like I have the one villager, just unlocking all the little areas in that minigame to unlock more items because there's no street pass. There's 0 people giving me the street pass.
That is one of the quality of life features they did with this version, because obviously there is no street pass on Switch 2. So it's just online and it pulls from anyone who's played the game. So it's a lot easier to get like the extra villagers to help out with stuff on this version.
Yeah, so what we mean by the villagers, there's this like whole little mini game where you get villagers, and then these villagers kind of invest in certain areas of this map to unlock items that you could potentially get in the game. It's not, the items are fine. They're not critical though, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say like the first 2 or 3 with your one villager is critical because it gives you the essential items. But after that though, it doesn't really matter.
I think the village is like a good thing for like the first like 10 hours of the game. It's like good to invest in for that.
Also, Ryan, the summon friends mechanic. Yeah. It's completely, I just get bots and it's just useless on my end. I remember playing this, during the heyday of 3DS, and I would get these street passes with powers like 9999999.
Yep.
So like I would be like, okay, I can't be this boss. Let me summon this thing and one hit it.
Yeah.
But now I can't do that anymore.
Nope, you can't just cheat like that, Garrett. Whereas again, in the Switch 2 version, like that might be the only good like quality of life improvement, because I guess like I'm not far enough in the game to actually see like how much that actually probably helps with this version, because you do have access to it just being online versus it being Street Pass. So I think that feature will probably, you're right, probably come a lot more in handy when you get closer to, when you actually get farther into the game, or just when more people who are playing are farther in the game too, because it relies on other people also playing this game too, right? So yeah, that's an interesting thing. So Bravely Default, nice.
Bravely Default. And I'll play a lot more on my trip to Japan.
Yeah, Japan.
I want to see if I can get street passes in Japan. That's my hope.
I mean, maybe. I mean, but everyone's like all moved on to Switch 2, so I think it might actually be tough. But
Yeah.
I don't even we don't even see 3DSs being sold on the Famitsu sales charts anymore, because that was the thing for the longest time, is they'd be like, and they sold 63, they found 653 3DSs in the back and then sold them this week.
Oh my goodness.
The new console for that, by the way, right now is PS4. Like, I think the last Famitsu sales chart for last month, they showed that I think it was like 100 PS4s were sold in Japan last month.
Wow.
PS4s, Garrett.
Why are they still selling that? But I'm sure it's like a collector's thing at this point. It's like, okay, we're just gonna buy it and just keep it for
100%
safekeeping.
Yeah. Or it's the same reason why you go to the copper wire store in Akihabara and just go get a whole thing of copper wire. Garrett. You know,
that's exactly what I'll do.
You'll learn about that when you go to Akihabara, Garrett. When you go visit you'll go to Super Potato, but then downstairs you'll see the copper wire store, and you're like, why is there a giant spool of copper wire here? But
I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah. A couple other games, of course, Garrett, I want to touch on. One, I've been replaying, I've been in the Final Fantasy mood. I've been playing through Final Fantasy Theatrhythm again, which is, of course,
yes,
the game I'm talking about. But I'm so happy, Garrett, that the Switch 2 is out, because the Switch 1 version of Theatrhythm had like these super long load times in it that it would, like, you would load a song and it would take like 30 seconds sometimes. Like,
my goodness.
It would take forever to kind of get into it, and then it would have some frame rate stumbles. This version, it loads in like 3 seconds. There's no frame rate dips. Like, this game is awesome on Switch 2.
Nice.
Just playing like the normal version on Switch 2. Plays like the PS5 version, which is great.
Great.
But then the other game, Garrett, I've been playing. I'm excited to talk about this one. Pokemon Scarlet. I have been playing Pokemon Scarlet because I don't know if you knew this about Pokemon Scarlet, Garrett. If you actually play a fixed version of Pokemon Scarlet, that game is surprisingly fun and addictive. I actually like it.
Yeah,
I'm actually having a lot of fun with it.
It's not broken.
It's not broken anymore. Well, I mean, sometimes, Garrett, when I'm finishing a battle and like I see the camera is just low enough on my crocodile Pokemon that it's like it's showing like the mirror, the version of the world, like the top of the world kind of reflected through the floor.
Still pretty jank. Okay.
Yeah, it's still like got some little janky elements like that. And I mean, the textures are not great. Like, you look at the side of a mountain, you're just like, that's kind of an ugly texture. But dude, it runs at 60 frames per second. It upscales to 4K. It's very pretty. The load times are very fast. But more importantly, honestly, it just highlights how fun the gameplay is for me. Like, it actually is like a pretty fun Pokemon game. I'm actually kind of having a lot of fun with it. And I mean, I was already having fun with it. I think we talked about it before, like when I was playing it initially, but like I was having fun with it before when I was playing it, but I put it down because of the technical problems. They really got in the way where my character fell through the world and all my Pokemon died. And I was like, well, okay, what do I do now? Like, it felt like the rug got pulled under me, and that's never a fun feeling. So I was just like, nope, I'm not dealing with this until they patch this. So now that it's all kind of back to normal, and because again, they've run several stability patches since then, and the game seems to run pretty fine. Like, they even fixed the thing, Garrett, where if people remember Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you'd look off in the distance and like characters or other objects would run at like 5 frames a second as they're like walking like this across a field. But that they fixed that, even where they're now like objects in the distance like move smoothly and stuff like that. Like, dude, this game is actually pretty fun. So
I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you waited to play this game until the Switch 2 came around, because oh boy,
yeah,
it was rough on Switch. I played it all the way through. I think I just got to a point where I was just so used to it. I was just like, okay, I understand the jank, and I'll be careful going through this game. And then I was also playing handheld mode a lot. I think that's better than.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it probably
on
looks
monitor.
a little bit more like salvageable on the handheld.
Yeah. So I kind of, anyways, I'm not gonna ignore its major flaws technically, but as you said, Ryan, I think this is a very solid Pokemon game.
Yeah.
And I think I would have enjoyed it more a lot more if I was playing it on Switch 2 now. Yeah, I'm curious how you're gonna. Let's talk after you're done with this game. How you feel about the end of it? Because
we'll talk about it after you come back from vacation.
It's one of my favorite endings of a Pokemon game.
But
Pokemon endings are not that great. By the way.
mean, it's also just like I'm also just enjoying it so much more. I think because in contrast to like the other Pokemon games I've played lately, like Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, where I'm just like,
oh yeah,
this is just like blows that out of the water.
Yeah, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Man, they really made it just so bland, so vanilla.
Yeah,
like they really grabbed the 4th gen DS game and just put a new engine on it. And that's pretty much it.
Jordan even puts in here ZA hype. Can't wait. Like I'm actually after
right.
playing this, I'm actually kind of excited to play that game.
You gonna get ZA? You gonna go for it?
I think so. I think I'm interested in that one.
I'm cautiously optimistic about that game. I think I want to wait till I get my Switch 2.
Yeah.
Before I get.
Oh no, definitely. I would not. If I had only Switch 1, Garrett, I would not be looking at that game. But Switch 2, that changes things for me. Because, I mean, I've seen Pokemon Scarlet run well, and again, like from what they've shown from the Switch 2 version, it looks pretty good. We're getting that Pokemon Presents next month too. That'll actually be after you come back from vacation, Garrett. So we'll probably talk about that on the show.
For sure.
But yeah.
I'm curious what they're gonna present over there. But yeah, ZA hype is. I mean, like again, I've gone through a lot of the trailers or whatever multiple times. I'm not as excited about ZA compared to Legends, but we'll see. We'll see how the reviews go. I'm sure the reviews will be the reviews. I'm more interested in your thoughts. I'm more interested getting into what the Pokemon crowd is saying on YouTube. But yeah, cool.
Also, I would not pick that game for Fantasy Critic, though. I will throw that out there because even as promising as the Switch 2 version looks like, those reviews are going to get mixed in with the Switch 1 reviews on Open Critic, and it's going to be a mess because I think that Switch 1 version is not going to run or look good.
It's going to be rough.
It's not going to run well on Switch 1. So, whereas I'm just, again, I think ZA is more my gameplay style than Arceus was. So I think that's just why I'm more excited about it.
Cool. The last thing, and I'll be very brief before we get into questions. I think it connects to the questions quite well. I've been playing Clay Obscure Expeditions, still continuing my playthrough. I'm in Act 3 right now, Ryan. Yeah, I don't want to spoil so much of this game, but I can tell you this from my impressions. It's a great game. It has great writing, great gameplay, or whatever. The people who say, okay, this is game of all time, best writing, best gameplay, and I'm like, ooh, that's not, it's not hitting that upper echelon for me. Yeah. Personally, I think it boils down to opinion. It always boils down to opinion, but I'm just saying once you get to that higher tier, it's more like a personal, does it really hit you or does it not so much hit with you? The way the story goes. For me, it's good. It's great. I think it's a well-told story. I think it's great gameplay. But I don't think when it's like, okay, name off your top 10 RPGs of all time, I don't know if Clair Obscur would be in there. And that's just more of a personal thing. Yeah. I think I like turn-based a little bit more than this action-based rhythm it's really a rhythm game than anything because I'm doing a lot of parrying in this game, just constant parrying. I hate dodging in this game. I don't know how other people really get into the dodging of this, even though it's more forgiving. It's just a lot of extra animation though in dodging. You have to go back and then forth, but the attacks from the enemies are so fast sometimes, and like I rather just parry because parry's very quick. Parry's just like block.
That's what I've heard from a lot of people who play this game, where it's like I think people are hit or miss on that mechanic in particular.
But I'll get into the. Ryan, are you gonna ever play this game? Are you gonna get through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a Game Pass subscription, and I don't have any other way of playing it, so I have to wait until I'm allowed to buy games again, which will be on July 1st, Canada Day.
Okay.
So literally in like 2 weeks, Garrett, I can buy games again. So after you come back from vacation, I will have actually been transitioned to a period where I can buy games again. So, but I mean, like, it's tough because Donkey Kong's coming out, and I'm like day one on that. And then of course, like I've already committed to us playing Cyberpunk together when you come back from vacation. So that'll probably be the thing I play after Donkey Kong. So I'm just trying to find room in the calendar for it. Because I also have like Assassin's Creed Shadows I really want to play. Like that is like one of the games that like I missed out on this year, and was one of my most anticipated games coming into this year because I love the Assassin's Creed RPG style games. So that one's up there. I still haven't played Doom. I haven't played Indiana Jones. Like I missed out on all that stuff. I haven't played Oblivion Remastered. Like, dude, there's so much stuff that I haven't gotten to play yet. Because I've been playing older stuff, which has been awesome. Like I'm glad I've been able to go back and play a lot of older stuff. But like I'm kind of ready actually to play some new games. And Claire Obscura 33 kind of fits in this bill too. And I mean I could sign up for Game Pass and knock this out and some other stuff out. When I'm able to buy games again. But part of me actually just wants to, like, this seems like a game that I'm going to want to keep in my collection anyways. So I think I'm actually to probably pull the trigger and buy this one at some point. But
sounds good.
I think it's maybe an August thing. I would guess. Like it's probably like maybe after Cyberpunk, I finally look at playing this game.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I don't want to like. Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you need to play this game at all. But I think I want to do a spoiler cast. At least not if it's not with you, definitely with like Sean, or I know Ron is doing it as well, and I know Fuya is playing it. So I just would like to talk to someone about it, just to, especially Sean, because he's so really liking it. Like he really, really loves it. And I'm just like, convince me why I'm not convince me. I'm very curious why that's the case. Because for me, it's not hitting as much. But anyways, I want to beat this game. Well, I'm not going to beat this game before I leave because I want to do a lot of the side stuff. Act 3 is when you really get into the side stuff.
But that's going to be so hard to come back to, though, when you come back, though, Garrett.
I'm not... it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine because I'm doing so much side stuff. I hear the final boss, if you do the side stuff, it's pretty straightforward. So I think I'll be okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I definitely want to do a spoiler cast at some point.
Yeah. And I know, like, Sean has expressed interest in wanting to do that at some point. So I think you guys would probably be able to link up if you didn't want to wait until after I finished it,
Sounds good.
Anyways, let's get to these questions, Garrett, because we've got 2 questions from the from the NPCs, the non-podcast characters, and then we'll get on out of here. So we got Ron, who asks us, I'm doing optional stuff in Expedition 33. By the way, I asked the chat as well what y'all have been playing. So this is part of the responses here. So Ron's currently doing the optional stuff in Expedition 33, currently at level 84. And I've definitely made up my mind up that I'm going for the Platinum Trophy. Wow. Now, to Ron's question, with the news about Persona 4 Revival not coming until after April of 2026, as per Sega's fiscal report, because they did release like slides showing this, do you think any Persona 6 news will drop before that release? As much as I want Persona 6, I'm seriously hoping Persona 1 and 2 get remakes at some point. I hope y'all have a great show. So, I think this is in line with what we kind of speculated about last week when we talked about Persona 4 revival, Garrett. Where I think this is like a fall 2026 game when it comes out.
Persona 4 Revival, yes.
Yeah. Which then begs the question: when the hell does Persona 6 come out? Because I think that's even farther away. That's like a 2027 or even maybe like a 2028 game.
I can imagine it being 2027. I can imagine it being the first time simultaneous worldwide release of a mainline Persona game. They always, with the Persona games, they always seem to hit that late previous gen, early next gen console cycle. So it could be 2027 or it could be 2028. I don't know, to be honest with you. They're working hard at it though. The main team that they're done with Metaphor. Yeah. They're now getting into the main production of Persona 6,
which is what they said on the tweet that we highlighted as well last week. Like they're ready. They're going to be ready to talk about Persona 6 probably like end of this year, early next year as well. So we will definitely hear about Persona 6 news soonish, like sometime this year, early next year is when I expect to hear about that game.
Yeah, and I've been really thinking about this, Ryan. I'll probably end up playing Persona 6 base. But there's some incentive or it's like, hey, if you can just hold out for 3 more years and just get the Persona 6 Royale, that's probably the ideal playthrough of the game.
Especially if it comes out at the tail end of a generation, Garrett, because you know that Sega doesn't like to do the upgrade pass, and they'll make you buy it on the next gen console again. So it's just like you may as well just wait. If the PS6 or the Xbox Series 2 or whatever are like right around the corner, it's like, well, you may as well just wait. You know.
We'll see how it goes. In my hype around it, of course, we would love to talk about Persona 6. Yeah. Really in depth. So maybe I'll kind of give in and just play the game, but it's always on the back of my mind, that one.
Also, I 100% agree with Ron. The fact actually that we got Persona 3 and 4 remakes before 1 and 2 just makes me sad because like those games really, really need remakes, but we don't have those. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of the team making the Persona 3 and 4 kind of remakes is because Persona, 3 and 4, they have the template. Yeah. It's like, okay, this is the template of the game. All they have to do, but it's a starting point for them to bounce off of. And, of course, there's a lot of quality of life improvements and the combat's improved and new voice acting. I know it's like a lot of improvements are there, but at least they had a template and a starting point. Persona 1 and 2, I don't know.
They are very different games. It would actually be a bigger task as well. Yeah. Especially because again, they don't have like 3D open worlds or anything like that. Like they were almost like visual novels while playing them on the PSP, like most up to date versions on the PSP.
Yeah. So I think I don't know how would they tackle it. I'm sure they've had discussions about Persona 1 and 2, but they gotta balance it out. It's like, okay, how much investment should we put into a Persona 1 and 2 remake and how much return of investment we're going to get out with the mainline Persona audience right now? Are they going to receive it well? It's going to be a much different game than the current Persona line of games there. Yeah.
But honestly, like, it's one of those things where, like, I actually don't mind if they had, like, if they took, like, the story and the characters from Persona 1 and 2, but then just made them in the style of Persona 3 and 4. Like, I think, like, that is something I would be totally fine with if they didn't, like, port that same style 1-to-1 and instead, like, did, like, a brand new, like, made them more like Persona 3 and 4 Reload. Like, I actually think that would be totally fine with me. But Yarden asked a good question, though, where he's asking, you think 1 and 2 remakes would actually sell well? Because Persona 4 obviously will sell a ton. And you're right. I think it makes sense. They have the template, and 3 and 4 are naturally going to sell better than 1 and 2 because people have the nostalgia for those games. But I definitely think like Persona 1 and 2 would actually probably sell pretty well. if they're well done games. Like people want to know. Like I think more people might pick it up that are Personas fans simply because they might have never have played those games, or they might not have wanted to play that older style of Persona game that you see on like the PSP remakes of those games. So I think that's definitely what's going on there. But yeah, I know, Ron, I love this point here. They've definitely lost the source code like everyone else has, because that's always a fun story. That's actually something we heard about Final Fantasy Tactics, Garrett. I don't know if you saw that.
That's insane. Yeah.
Is they lost the source code, so it doesn't have the War of the Lion stuff after all, because they don't have the source code for it anymore. So it's actually just a port of the PS1 version of the game instead, with the original translation.
I need a full-on documentary series about how the preservation of source code and how did it get lost. Like, I
think just game developers weren't thinking about that as much back then, especially in that era, even in the GameCube era. That's the same reason we heard about Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube, and why it's not 60 frames per second on any consoles, because they lost the source code for the game, like the GameCube version. They just got rid of it. They didn't think about archiving it for later.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But all right. Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. And final question of the show, of course, comes to us from Ryu. Oh, Yard makes a good point as well. Those floppy disks degrade. That makes a lot of sense too.
Oh, okay. If they archive on a floppy disk, okay.
Yeah, they would have had to back it up at some point to some other storage medium. But Ryu from the audience says, I picked up Raidu Remastered yesterday. I'm only a couple of hours in, but I'm enjoying it so far. I think the platinum requires 2 full playthroughs, since there's a trophy tied to the difficulty I didn't see when I started the game, so that's a little annoying. And I saw Ryu actually talking a lot about Raidu in the chat, or in the Discord, a lot over the course of the week. So shout out to Ryu. But Ryu also says, out of all the RPGs you've played this year so far, what are your favorites? So mid-year check-in before you go on vacation, Garrett, I guess, since we didn't do like a mid-year check-in episode. What are the best role-playing games we've played this year?
I mean, still Claire Obscure is a fantastic RPG, and probably the best RPG I played this year. I wouldn't deny that. So I definitely recommend people who are into, RPGs, like I think a lot of non-RPG folks give Claire Obscure a shot, because it seems like it really is hitting with some folks, and it really does what it attempts to do. It does it really well. So I definitely highly recommend Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. And then another one that really pops in my mind, Ryan, that I need to play the sequel to, Mass Effect 1.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's Mass Effect 1's a very good game. Even though it's aged in certain parts, it's just like the overall core, the concept of the game, it's pretty good. It's really, really good.
Yeah. And dude, I think it only goes up from there. I actually think that
that's right.
Mass Effect 2 is a much better game. Even though, like, I think the story is kind of like, you're going to make an argument for 1 maybe being better over 2, but like, dude, the gameplay, the characters, like the story, I think is actually really good in the second one. So
yeah, so those are my 2. I would say they're on the top of my mind. How about you, Ryan?
So this has been an interesting year. Like I said, I really haven't played a lot of new games. This has been games from last year or earlier, but I've finished 33 games this year now that I've finished the replay of Final Fantasy
33.
6.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty good list so far. But a lot of them actually are not role-playing games. Like a lot of, older, 2D platformers, action games, a lot of like, Life is Strange style games. So, for God's sakes, I played Last of Us Part 2 this year for the first time. So a lot of stuff like that. But my RPG highlights that I've played this year so far, I've got 3 of them to highlight. Lunar 2. Like playing the PlayStation version for the first time and just seeing how much better that is from the Sega CD version. Like, dude, that version they released in the collection for Lunar 2 is very, very good. Easily probably my top role-playing game I played this year. Dragon Quest 3 HD2D, I really, really enjoyed. We talked about that, a few months ago. And then the other one just finished playing it this week, Final Fantasy 3. I honestly really enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to. And it kind of makes that short list for me. So those are my 3 from this year. Again, a lot of older games, but I think they were some pretty good games that I played this year, especially for the first time as well.
Super cool. Nice.
All right. Well, there you go, Garrett. But before we send you on your way on your vacation, of course, we got to say thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, starting with our ultimate producers, Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive. You can find all of his music over on his Linktree, linktr.ee/pme.gib. And TechMike, who says, whether you're Kevesi or Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart. Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of our podcast. Our platinum producers, Kiku, Peje, The Captain, and Tim Paullin, and our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Benny, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emilio Kelly, John 32, Laura, Ligerwoods 330, Mr. Giggles, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, and Stephen Keller. Huge thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. If you want to hop in the car with us, head over there, choose the tier that's right for you. And now, Garrett, plugs go.
You can follow me at Blue Sky, at Blind Explosion, and you can also find me on the backlogged. I haven't logged
Your
into that.
backlogged account has a backlog, Garrett.
Yes, it does. You're so right. But you can follow me there at Blind Explosion, and you can also find me on the Discord. I'm in each and reading all your messages in the RPG Cave, sometimes the PC Gaming, sometimes the Xbox Drive. This Xbox Drive channel, like they got the check marks going on. It's encouraging me to get the points, which is great. That's pretty much all I have.
It's a good reminder, Garrett, to go, sign up for your Microsoft account stuff every single day.
Yeah, get your points. It's been much slower earning points now than it has ever been before. It kind of sucks, but I still do it because it's free points. So, yeah.
Also, I was reminded of this as I clicked on the Discord to be like, oh, what are people talking about? And people are talking about Falcom's games in there, which reminded me, the one last thing I'll mention about Switch 2 games, Garrett, apparently the Falcom games are some of the best upgraded games, even though they didn't get patches, because a lot of those run at 1080p, but they don't actually run at 1080p on the original Switch, and they're uncapped. They all have uncapped frame rates, so now they run at 1080p
dude.
at 60 frames per second. All the Falcom games are apparently like that.
Wow.
So all the Trails games and all the Ease games are all like that, which is
Falcom Bros, rejoice! Get your Switch 2s, get your upgraded games right then and there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as for me, you can find me in the Discord at Ryan Turford. You can also find me on backlog.com at Ryan Turford, where I put up little reviews like my, slightly negative, but mostly positive review about Final Fantasy VI, as well as other things. You can also find me on Letterboxd, where I will talk about Clown in a Cornfield and, Fear.com. And a bunch of weird movies over there. And then, of course, you can always find us here on carpoolgaming.com, podcast services around the globe, and, of course, YouTube and Twitch. So, first of all, Garrett, we all want to wish you, a very awesome vacation.
Thank you.
Jordan, of course, in the chat says, bye-bye. Hope you have a great trip, Garrett.
Thank you.
And we will see you in a few weeks.
Yes.
And until Garrett comes back, we'll find someone else to do the show with me. I don't know.
Sounds good.
None of us is planned out, but we'll find out. But Garrett, I hope you have an amazing vacation, and we'll see you in a few weeks. So for Garrett Bland, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been the 186th level of the RPG Cave, and we're out.
Bye-bye.